Hello and welcome to the Real Gary Tussey Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that could ever amount to anything or everything to anybody and everybody who ever intends to amount to something. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to this edition of Real Gary Tussey. Thanks for being with us. We are just delighted to have the live Facebook friends with us today. Paula, Ricky, John, Don, Danny, Ruth, Elsie, and many others chiming in, weighing in. I want to take a minute, like I do every time we launch out in a podcast, and just be grateful to people who help to make my life easier and contribute to my success. Either in we own 4 businesses, 3 of them are incorporated. This business is Tussey Music and Entertainment that we're reaching out right now with you on Facebook Live, and then producing this podcast, and soon to be AM radio as well. But we also own Tussey Homes Incorporated. We build new homes and we put people in those homes in a very we offer people more than they ever pay for, I can tell you that. So we get people in really nice homes at a really, really good budget. Some people that help make that happen are Lumber Liquidators in Lexington. Doug Smith is a store manager over there. Really good people, really go out of their way to accommodate what we need with our flooring, and they understand when I come in and I've got a situation and I want to be able to supply and install high quality, but I don't want to break people's pocketbook. They know how to make that happen. I have found that in construction and remodeling and in new construction, all that, people do not have unlimited pockets. The mass majority of people are not, are not sheiks and kings and queens, and they are not. They have a budget, and these people are, like I mentioned on the last podcast, Mies Tile, now Lumber Liquidators, help us to have awesomeness on a budget. All right, and we're continuing our thought on this podcast about leadership being a catapult idea and not a freight train idea. And we're going to continue that today because leaders who have that mentality are much better leaders. They have shed the inhibition of FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. Well, true leadership is going to make the people that you're helping and you're leading to do better than you, to be more successful than you, and to get out ahead of you eventually. You do believe that. If not, you should. And I want to welcome everyone watching on the real cams, Sony 4K camera number 4 here, Sony 4K camera number 1 right there, and we fired up for YouTube this weekend. We actually have, I think, 6 episodes of the full-length 1-hour live Real Gary Tussey on YouTube right now. You can search that on YouTube at Real Gary Tussey, Real space Gary space Tussey. We'll find us on there doing what we do. And I know everybody watching by the live feed with the one shot from the device, it does pretty good because I can see it right here, and it's nice. But there's something about the 2-shot thing. We're going back and forth, and it's really fun. And but even more than that, good morning, Ruth. Even more than that, I am so grateful that a few of you are hanging with me every morning, and we start our day together and we start our week together. We're talking about successful multitasking. Somebody says, well, I'm not a multitasker. Well, au contraire, mon chéri, you are a multitasker. You are designed by your creator to be a multitasker. Now, what you're saying when you say I am not a multitasker, you're saying to me that you are struggling with multitasking, and you are saying things like that, and these things do restrict you, and I want to help you with this. You're saying like, I've got a one-track mind. No, you don't. No, you don't. there are many things that come in and out of your mind all day. You can't help that. You don't think about only one thing all day. And in a leadership position, you're going to think about many things. It begins with, particularly if there are subordinates involved in your sphere and in your life, the very first thing you think about all the time is safety and their well-being. That's always what you're thinking like that. But what I want to do is encourage you. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to give the number. Why do I do that? And I can't do it on the podcast we're recording, so I'll do it twice tomorrow. I really encourage you to call in. Some of you, if you've written the number down, you want to call and you want to chime in on some of this, please feel free to do so. I can't give the number out for the podcast, so since we're recording already, I can't do it. But remind me, some of my crew that's with us every morning, you can remind me, because I am my own producer every morning, and I've got so much to do, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention that telephone number. So what we want to do is help you to be a successful multitasker, because you are a multitasker by divine providence, by your design. If you're a human being, then multitasking, you've got to do it. You have got to do it, whether you realize it or not. So there are certain things that we talked about on the last podcast, and I'm not going to recap them because you can go on the last podcast and pick it up. But what I do want to chime right in on is your lack of recruiting help. I want to encourage you to show people what you're doing. There are certain tasks that you do that become redundant that you can actually show other people how to do and help you. Now, I'm going to be very elementary here in doing this. This should start with our children. And we're kind of in the position we're in society today because we have let it go with our children. I'll never forget my grandmother, who was the oldest, Granny Tussey. She was the oldest of 9 children. She married a man who was the oldest of 9 children. I often wonder how they survive so many successful, loving years of marriage, because I know what it is to be the oldest married to the oldest, and it has its particular challenges. But the thing about my granny, she always said all she's done her whole life is raise children, because she was born and reared in rural Kentucky, and her maiden name is Gibson, and the Gibsons of Central Kentucky. I'm related to you, I'm certain of that. But my grandmother, being the oldest of 9 siblings, she always said, I am born to raise children. That's all I've ever done. One thing she said that has always spoken to me, and I guess at the time she said it probably didn't, but it has really fed me and helped me ever since when I've needed it to. I've gleaned from it. And she made a statement. She said, these children can help take steps off of you. Otherwise, you're going to run yourself ragged all day long. Well, people who are interested in you and interested in what you do, they can take steps off you, and you've got to, what we call, sow into their lives. You've got to give them room to take some of the, quote, menial or redundant task off of you. We're talking about multitasking. We're talking about a lost art that we've got to get back, of delegating what you do and the greatness that is you. And you are great. If you're a chef, you're an electrician, you're an auto mechanic, you're a carpenter, you're a painter, you are great, and you have several ability that you have got to share and spread with other people. They may not appreciate it at the moment, but I got an idea, if you share it right, they're going to appreciate it pretty quick. Now, we've got to delegate. My grandmother said, Granny Tussey said, these children, she always called them children, not kids, these children can take steps off of you. They need to learn to pick up their own toys. Don't pick their toys up for them. In the beginning, what you do, and this is how leadership works. In the beginning, what you do, you pick them up for them, showing them how it's done. Then you pick the toys up with them, showing them how it's done, and then you watch them pick their toys up with joy. Same thing happens. For some reason I have this image, so I might as well share it with you. They can carry their own soiled diapers to the trash or to the laundry if you still use cotton diapers, which is totally acceptable and fine. So the point I'm making is, this is somewhat talking about discipleship, it's definitely talking about, I've mentioned many, many times over that the average age of a craftsman is 58 years old. Well, the 58-year-old better start teaching the 28-year-old, and the 28-year-old better start listening up, because this is how this is done. You begin with, I'll never forget, I saw this cartoon one time, and if I ever see it again, I'm going to print it so that I have it, and we'll put it up on the website as well. We have, in this cartoon, in the first frame is a gentleman nailing a nail into the wall. In the second frame is someone watching the gentleman nail the nail into the wall. In the third frame, the someone watching is now doing the nailing while the original nailer is watching him nail into the wall. And then in the last frame, only the second gentleman is nailing into the wall. So this is the point I'm making about leadership being a catapult. It not only, as a matter of fact, the more I think about this, the more I realize it's an insult to think that leadership is like a freight train. And I've even heard someone describe, well, leadership is us going out to the great beyond where no one else has ever been, and then we'll come back and get you and take you with us. No, that's awful. And that was a preacher that said that. No, what we're going to do is live a life with people in the trenches, and we're going to catapult them out ahead of us. And yeah, we're going to trailblaze, so we know we're catapulting people out ahead of us into safe places and wonderful places and great places to be able to accomplish and do and be what we are created by our Creator to be. The first line you will see when you go to our website is created by our Creator to create. Am I right, Terry? Am I right? Thanks, Terry, for weighing in. Good to see you this morning. Special place in my heart for the early riser. We're talking about you being a successful multitasker. Listen, you run out of time. Am I the only one that's noticed that I run out of time before I run out of ideas, and I run out of time before I run out of energy, and I run out of week before I run out of things that I want to accomplish and things that I want to get into and things that I want to contribute to make wonderful and successful. I understand. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. One country artist said one time, too much month at the end of the money. I feel that too. You know, that's just the way it goes. That's the way it goes. But we got to rise to the occasion and become and be the multitasker successfully that we need to be. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. We're just about out of time on the podcast. We've got to explore the difference between being independent, codependent, and interdependent. Because to be the people that we're designed to be, we first have to become me, the person that I'm designed to be. And that me, the person, although I have independence, I'm not independent. And I definitely am not codependent. The two of those are not healthy. The third is healthy, and that is to become and to be interdependent. And that's what I'm talking about being able to multitask and being able to delegate and being able to, although there'll only be a few of these people in your life that you can trust, that you know they have your back. We're out of time on today's podcast. Thanks for being with us. Live and let live, be free and set free, and apply a high energy pursuit toward happiness. Tussey out.